Hey YouTube, this is Josh with Vertical Drum Co. I wanted to show you how we made a blocking station for our miter saw here at the drum shop. We don't make a lot of cuts with this for actual drum making, but we do use our shop for other purposes and building tables and building jigs for things related to drum building. And we make a lot of these really precise cuts. We make a lot of cuts that have to be exactly the same. So we'll create a jig that has spacers for it, and the spacers have to be, precisely the same width. If they're not, then we're going to have one of our cuts out of line. So we'll create things like this, and the way that we do that, instead of going in here and trying to get real precise and measure each piece that we're cutting and make sure it's exactly where we want it, that's just never going to do. You're always going to have some sort of discrepancy. So we'll turn this station into a block cutting station like you'd see at a cabinet shop, where they have long rails and clamps and some sort of situation where you can basically have a piece that comes in here, you butt up your cut piece to it, and then you know it's exactly where it needs to be. You can make that cut repeatable and do it over and over. So here at the shop I have this piece that is commercially made. It's a rail for a bed. So I know that it's really straight and true. There's no issues with it. It doesn't have, warping or twisting like you might get something at a local hardware store. From there, we've got our miter saw at the exact height so that these rails on our table saw will be the support for longer boards and longer cuts. You don't have to do this with a table saw. You could do it with whatever is sturdy that's at the correct height for you. But the nice thing with this table saw is we have a parallel or a straight edge that goes in line with the back of the miter saw. So I can butt this wood piece up against here, slide it exactly where I want it. If we're going to make 4-inch cuts, I can go to here, get my measurement set, and then all I need to do from there is just clamp it down. Once I clamp this, and it's in line, I'm making sure everything is square, nice and straight, then I can bring my piece in, make my cut, bring my next piece in, make my cut, or after this piece is gone, just bring it over, make your next cut. With that, we can get very exact cuts without having to remeasure every time that we're doing it. This is basically free. We have clamps, we have wood at the shop, so this isn't a huge investment to get really precise with how we do this. The cool advantage for us too is that we can work this process backwards. So if we have a jig piece, we have a spacer or something that we need to cut the same size. We've got this, it goes into one of our jigs, and we need another one of these that's exactly the same size. We can put our blade down, lock our piece in here, bring our block cutting station board all the way in, make sure it's set, and then we can clamp it down. Once it's clamped there, there's only room for that spacer. Unclick this, bring it up, and we know that now if I cut this piece, it's going to be exactly the same as the spacer that I just put in there. That's a big advantage for us when we need to recreate some jigs, or maybe we need to move it over the tiniest little bit. We can just kind of tap over. Let's say we got to go over 1 millimeter. We can cut a couple pieces and make sure that it's exactly right, and then produce a few more. This helps us so we don't have to measure over and over and over. Plus, if we've got longer boards, we can push this out. We can bring the miter saw over. We just need to keep it in line with that back edge of the table saw deck. And then we have, unlimited possibility to make really precise cuts over and over and over. Now, one thing I will say with all this is that we have all of our tools on a simple button system so that we can turn everything on or off, give power to it. So whenever I'm doing this, I always make sure that, especially if I'm putting it down and put my finger in here near the blade, I'm going to make sure that this is off first. We don't want to have any accidents there. Our whole system is rigged, so now we can turn it on, now we turn it off. And that's a really easy thing to do. We got a simple little button system that all of our stuff goes into. And we can turn everything on or off. But anyway, hopefully this helps. You can make these wider. You can make them, I don't know, thicker. You could use a 4x4, 4x6, whatever you need to do. And the other cool thing with it is, you know, this is going to work even when you're turning and making different cuts. So let's say you're going to cut some 45s. You can still bring it over like that, adjust it to where you need to be, and make your cuts. Yeah, anyway, hopefully that helps you guys in your woodworking.